Today we got for you the build video for my Boulder Dash Werewolf Druid. I even took the time to draw up a werewolf holding a boulder for the thumbnail, so let's just jump right into it, alright? Alright, first we're going to take a look at the gear that I'm using. We'll start off with the helmet. You want to have crit damage as much as possible because this has guaranteed crit on it when you get a kill. So as much crit damage, dexterity, willpower, that'll be all good for your Paragon tree. On my helmet I have imprinted the Earthen Bulwark is increased to 6 seconds in addition to killing an enemy with Earth skills, replenishes to 105. It really just keeps a really long uptime on it by refreshing your cooldowns off of another item, and I will give you an example of that real quick to show you how it works. So basically you'll cast it, and every time you're able to proc a earth skill off of your werewolf skills, it refreshes the cooldown by 8 seconds or whatever the item that you have has the time on it. But as you can see, you can have it up all the time. It's always keeping you shielded. You can't be CC'd. It's really nice. So I just found this armor. Honestly, you can go with this or, you know, any good one that has crit damage on it or anything like that, but this one is really nice. It's Mad Wolf's Glee, and it gives you the +2 ranks to all werewolf skills, which the movement speed helps as well. You get poison damage, physical. It's basically everything you'd want on your armor for this particular build, to be honest with you. It really just gives everything hitting a little harder. And then what we'll do is we'll go to the gloves. We have here, like I said, anything you can. These aren't perfect gloves, but the most important thing on them is the boulder is now core skill. That costs 60 spirit, which it doesn't do that. Casting deals 80% of normal damage. This is what allows you to be dashing with your shred and casting boulders. So I'll give you an example. You cast shred, and then boom, look, you throw a boulder out. And what that does is push the enemy away from you, but your dash keeps you right on top of them. So, and honestly, this procs a pretty good bit. So you have a pretty good chance to be casting boulders on people you're dashing to, and then you could just stay on top of them as they're getting pushed with the boulder, and it's really nice damage. Honestly, Temerity is the best pants you could have, period, for honestly the entire game. I mean, if you don't have these pants, you need to get them, because anytime you heal yourself, and I'll show you, there's some passives that actually heal you off of werewolf crits. Anytime you heal yourself, you're getting a barrier, and these pants are a must for pretty much every build. Anytime you're getting any kind of health that heals you over 100%, it's a barrier, and really when you take them off and you're in a mob, you really notice that they're not there. And the next one is really important, honestly, if you want to keep those cooldowns up like I showed you earlier. Like I said, try to get crit damage on it. My gear is not perfect yet, and I wouldn't even worry about trying to get it perfect till you get higher levels. But basically, whenever this procs, it gives you cooldowns on your other abilities, and you can always keep your shields up. I think it's abilities of the opposite type. So right now it's working for Earthen Bulwark, and you can keep that up. You're always CC immune. It's honestly, it's a must. Makes you really hard to take down, having the shields all the time and not being able to ever be CC'd. Okay, now this axe is pretty common and it's easy to find. I found plenty of them. I mean, you might not be finding them, but basically anytime you kill someone with shred, you get 2 seconds. Mine's like 2.1. I think it goes up to 3. You get 3 seconds max of guaranteed crits. So look, after you kill something, boom, 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 it's nothing but crits for like 2 whole seconds or 3, depending on which one you get. So if you get a good roll, you've got 3 seconds of crit, which is really nice because that'll keep up your resources. Your damage will go through the roof, especially if you're stacking crit damage. So you don't really have to focus too hard on critical strike chance with this. It really is a really nice weapon to have, since shred is your main ability anyway. You also get stealth, but you really don't use the stealth that much because you're just going crazy, just dashing to everybody. I put this on my totem. Honestly, while dashing, Shred seeks out nearby poisoned enemies, instantly dealing 60% of the poisoning damage to them. Now, it's not really clear, but this is what gives you really good clear when you're doing mobs. Basically, you're gonna slap rabies on a big old group, and once you do that and dash, anything that's poisoned within the dash gets damaged. You'll see little green beams pop out of you and right there, and kill them. Like, it just does raw damage to them off the poison damage that's lingering. So rabies is a really good combo with that, and you can get some really good damage numbers. Also, it crits. Like that beam with the direct damage poison will crit for you, so you can clear entire waves very quickly with this little combo. With the dash around, see, it's happening so fast, but you see the little beams, they fly out and they'll hit multiple targets. It doesn't hit just the target you're dashing to, and it really helps you clear waves really quickly. I think it's a must for the PvE aspect, honestly. Not so much the PvP, so if you want to flex that for like maybe some more armor or something like that, it's going to be a preference thing, but I like to have it on there because, you know, there is PvE in PvP areas, so it really helps you clear up those mobs. So we'll start off with the amulet. Honestly, this is the next most important unique you need to have, or imprinted skill you need to have. Werewolf skills function as storm skills, and werebear skills function as earth skills. So basically what that means is when you go to your key passives, you'll be using Nature's Fury. So now anytime you use a werewolf skill, you're going to be using an earth skill. Like, you have that chance, that 20% chance, and honestly, you're attacking so fast that, as you can see, they come out fairly often. And you can throw boulders really easy with your Shred, and that's where the name Boulder Dash came from. So we're going to look at the ring next. Earth Spike launches spikes in a line and has a 1.8 second cooldown. I mean, you can have this, you can not have it, honestly. I'm still playing around with the rings. I like this just because it gives me a little bit more of like an AoE basic attack, but really, you know, you throw those in a line, it damages a bunch of enemies. You really only use these for basically getting your resource back for Shred if you're hurting on the resource. And then basic skills gain 30% attack speed on this. I mean, honestly, this is also a flex. Like, you could go some other options. I just, right now, where I'm sitting at, this is the best I have at the moment. I've been trying to rework the rings as much as I can. As you can see, mine are still sacred. Even though I'm 79, it's just how it works. You know, you see some stats on it. It's got crit damage and poison damage. That's why it's there. So hopefully eventually I can get those upgraded. Also, make sure you have skulls on your jewelry, because honestly, diamonds resistances are broken right now, and I feel so much tankier with skulls on my jewelry than resistances. Alright, we're gonna look at the spirit boons. Top one, I prefer the extra to the resource, maximum spirit, especially in PvP. That's like your best option. When you're doing PvE, you could switch it over to the reduction from elites, but honestly, it's going to be, you know, your preference in that area. I stayed away from crit strike chance because like I said, we guarantee crit with this build. So I went attack speed and critical strike damage, which is 30%, which is huge. That's a big number. On the next one, we went with, really the only option for me was Lucky Hit. Dealing damage has up to 15% chance to restore spirit. That's just one extra sustain you could have for your spirit, so you can keep dashing at enemies and keep up the pressure. Some of the other options are okay too, but I think that's best in slot. Definitely. I mean, you could go with bolster, fortify, but honestly, I think this way, yeah, it's just, like I said, extra resources, more damage uptime. I played with this bottom bar a little bit. Critical strikes with shapeshifting skills heal you for 3% of your maximum life, so it'd be 152 at that moment. And since we have guaranteed crit, almost all the time, as long as you're killing things with your shred, you're always healing yourself off your shred, and that actually pairs very nice with your temerity pants. Like, as long as you're at full health and you're doing those crits, you're actually building up your barrier like all the time with the pants. So that right there is huge. So we're gonna go ahead and go over to the skills. This is gonna be pretty straightforward. Honestly, I put in the claw. I maxed it out. I'll probably remove some points from that. You really don't need it for the damage. It's not where you're gonna get your damage from, so I'll probably pull a few. But having the poison is nice on it, so you can slow people just with your basics, which is really nice. I put points into Earth Spike just for that extra damage on that too. You know, sometimes that finishes people off. It can stun. Has a 10% chance to stun for 2.5 seconds, and then you can summon a second one if you hit a target who is crowd controlled or stunned. I went with Max Spirit, 2 points into that, and 3 points into basic skills. Regenerate 18% more spirit. That's really nice, so you don't have to do as many basics. So you can hurry up, smack a guy a couple times, and have it all back. Now, Shred is your main ability. You want to max this out. It does so much damage. You want the attack speed, and then you want to go to second and third. Also perform a dash. In addition, Shred's critical strike damage is increased by 20%. Now that is huge. That keeps you on your target as they're pushed by the boulders. You throw in Landslide because Shred will cast Landslide as well as Boulder, believe it or not. So you'll be casting both of them, and they can both proc at the same time as well. So it's really nice. You'll put the points into that. You don't really need the second stage of that, so I just put one into the first. I wouldn't bother putting any points into that. You could, but I don't think it's necessary. That one might not be a bad option if you take some points out of the basic attack. And then this is crit strike chance. 1 point into that. I'll probably remove that as well. Put it in right here. Earthen Bulwark. That's your main, basically unstoppable skill, where you get your unstoppable and you get your shield, and it is got 100% uptime for the most part, unless you get really unlucky. And then we have Blood Howl. I put a couple points into this. You don't really have to max it out. It doesn't really scale that high off the heal, but it gives you 20 spirit for using it. And every time you get a kill, you refresh the cooldown for this. So as long as you're getting kills, the cooldown is getting refreshed on it, and you can use it quite often as well. So your shield and your heal actually come back pretty quickly and often. Boulder is your bread and butter. It's the Boulder Dash build. You put points into it. Honestly, you go right here. You don't have to go any further because this is all about critical strike chance, and like I said, you're guaranteed crit strikes. But max that out. And then max out Rabies because it does do nice damage, and like I said, when you dash to an enemy, it does a portion of the damage dealt that poison did, so it really helps you with those big waves in PvP for clearing them. Poison enemies are slowed by 24%. This is huge. Every time you smack them with your basic or you've got Rabies on them, they are poison, and your crit strikes for werewolf skills deal 23% of their base damage as poison damage every time you crit with them. So you're constantly poisoning them, and they're always slowed, so they're always crowd controlled. Put some points into that. I'm gonna pull them out and put them into that. That gives you extra crit damage to poisoned enemies. So honestly, I'll probably pull a point out of this and drop it into that, and 1 point out of that, and max that out. I was doing some playing around, so I did have that max. So poison enemies take 30% additional critical strike damage. Huge. Okay, and I'm on the fence about this ult. I like it, and then I don't like it. It's really good single target damage as long as no one else is in that area. But it does give you 10 seconds of immunity, so honestly, the ult will be kind of your preference. I think you could easily go with the lightning or the stone. Now, I will say that either of those will actually cast the boulder version of the ultimate. I forget the name of it. You could go through these. Honestly, this might be the better option, at least for wave clear. I mean, the damage numbers on it aren't terrible. But yeah, Petrify. Both of these ults have an option to cast Petrify. because of your key passive. So honestly, it probably is the best in the slot. For me, that's what I'm going to use. You could go with the the one that enhances the werebear form into the werewolf form, but honestly, you should be fine with that. Nature's Fury, you have to get this because you want it to cast off of the amulet we talked about, which turns your werewolf skills into storm skills. So that's going to cast earth skill 20% of the time. So anytime you do any of your werewolf skills, and this is what, see, I cast a double boulder right there because you're attacking so fast. So that actually stacks up some decent damage and keeps people CC'd for quite some time. You have a chance to double cast these, and like I said, you can even, because boulder's an earth skill and you also have another earth skill as a core skill, you have a chance to cast both of those off of your shred. Alright, now we're going over to the Paragon tree. Honestly, pick up everything on their first board. It's all good. You should have it. Just take it all. Honestly, the glyph sockets, I enhance the rare nodes on this one. Honestly, I think this is the best place for the enhancement for the rare nodes. I don't really use anything else there. Plus, you get 10% damage reduction while you have a barrier activated, which I do not have applied yet because I was using some points to play around up top. But it is possible. So yeah, just put all your points and grab all the rare nodes in that first board, honestly. Now on the second board, you're going to go up and pick up the rare node for the werewolf. You want this legendary Lust for Carnage. Critical strikes with werewolf skills restore 2 spirit. This basically means when you're doing your shred and you do get that kill and you got these guaranteed crits just flying off, that means you're just going to be able to keep doing shred. It's going to keep your resource up, and you'll basically be able to just spamming shred until you stop doing crits, and then you have to hit some basics. So that really keeps the uptime on shred up there nice. You're going to grab, honestly, the glyph socket for the top two. I went with magic, which boosts the magic nodes. Really, it's a preference, whatever you feel like, but I felt like this gave me some good werewolf skill damage, honestly, and some extra healing. Go straight down to attack speed. You want all the attack speed you can get for now. That way you can proc these earth skills more often. And on the third board that I have unlocked, honestly, I went with the earthen board, which gives you, critical strike damage with crowd control enemies, and since poison slows people and boulders push, they're always crowd controlled. So this is basically just stacking as much critical damage as you can, and your earth skills deal 30% increased damage to enemies afflicted by crowd control. So I'm trying to boost both werewolf and earth skills. You can pick up these nodes. What I'll do at the end here is also zoom out so you can see the entire board and the route I took. Honestly, this third board is going to be something you can play with because I'm still in the process of playing with it, so feel free to explore some other options. You might find something better than even I have, but honestly, this build has been a lot of fun. I enjoy pushing people around and dashing all over the place, and it's a little outside what's going on in PvP, which is like all werebears. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the build video, and as always, stay lit, my friends.